result. Oh, you've got to go again. Yeah, go and take
During the break,
go further to go.
you come, you set eyes
You have to buy the leaf from the store, do you? Yeah, that really small.
I leave the microphone just the way it is?
You can use it.
So I can move it in front of me. Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Is it on? Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're not going to let a pandemic or a positive COVID case get in the way of goodness like this. We can do it in a safe way. We're not going to let that interrupt it. So today, as we all know, Anagarika Gabriel, Anagarika Kosta. This is a formal occasion to formally request the Pabbajja, or novice going forth ceremony. So they made their request some months ago. This was put forth to the Bhikkhu Sangha here, and there was complete unanimous approval. And for the last year or a little bit more, they've conducted themselves impeccably, training in the Anagarika training. And they took a little bit extra time. I was quite touched by that. to consider whether they wanted to make this step. It's a big step. And I, as I mentioned a moment ago, I was touched that it wasn't just an automatic moving forward from Anagarika training, just automatically requesting, but considering carefully if this was something that they felt would be the right thing for them in their life at this time. And then when I came back from California a couple of months ago, the first time they came to see me, I believe it was the next day, I see them arrive over by my kuti with a tray of incense and flowers. And it was a lovely welcome back. And they've trained themselves well to preparing for this. I'd like to express gratitude to Tensangwaro again, and also other monks have been helping out the last couple of days, preparing them for this ceremony. So I'd also like, if anybody's watching from outside the monastery via the YouTube, we wish you could be here. We certainly do. In particular the family and sponsors, but also all of the other well-wishing friends. We wish that we could have you here. And so this is the best we can do. Hopefully the technology is working today, so that we can share this very special, auspicious occasion with you. So I think that's enough as an introduction. If there's a ceremony to take place, this is when it should begin. Saka Vandami Bante Sabang Aparadang Kamata Me Bante Maya Gatang Punyang Samina Anumoditabang Samina Gatang Punyang Mayang Databang Sadhu Sadhu Anumodami Oka Sakarunyang Kataha Pabbajjang Deta Me Bante Ahang Bante Pabbajjang Yachami Dutiyampi Ahang Bante Pabbajjang Yachami Tatiyampi Ahang Bante Pabbajjang Yachami Sabbadukkha Nisarana Nibbana Sachit Karanataya Imhang Kasahang Gahetaha Pabbajjetamang Bante Anukampang Upadaya Sabbadukkha Nisarana Nibbana Sachit Karanataya Imhang Kasavang Gahetaha Pabbajjetamang Bante Anukampang Upadaya Sabbadukkha Nisarana Nibbana Sachit Karanataya Imhang Kasavang Gahetaha Pabbajjetamang Bante Anukampang Upadaya Sabbadukkha Nisarana Nibbana Sachit Karanataya Etang Kasavang Dattva Pabbajjetamang Bante Anukampang Upadaya Sabbadukkha Nisarana Nibbana Sachit Karanataya Etang Kasavang Dattva Pabbajjetamang Bante Anukampang Upadaya Sabbadukkha Nisarana Nibbana Sachit Karanataya Etang Kasavang Dattva Pabbajjetamang Bante Anukampang Upadaya Please sit comfortably. Okay. So just especially for the benefit of people who are maybe more unfamiliar with this ceremony or have never witnessed this before, they're chanting in the Pali scripture language. It's Indian language from the Indian subcontinent, heavily related to Sanskrit. And it's the language of our tradition. So I'll read the English translation. Please allow me to offer my respects, Venerable Sir. Please grant forgiveness for all my shortcomings. Whatever goodness has been accumulated by me, may I offer it to you, and may I partake in the accumulated goodness of the Venerable Sir. Out of compassion, Venerable Sir, permit me to receive the going forth. Then the second bit of chanting they did It's repeating. These have been repeated 3 times, and so they ask for permission to be granted the going forth. And then this last bit of chanting they did twice. 3 times each time, I find, and I reflect on this quite frequently, both internally and publicly, that this next phrase I find quite profound, because it really pins down the whole reason we're doing this. To cross over all dukkha in order to realize nibbana. Taking these robes, please, Venerable Sir, out of compassion, grant me the going forth. So, once again, for people that aren't familiar with our tradition, especially these terms dukkha and nibbana, and just to give a relatively straightforward and simple way, dukkha has many translations. It's very nuanced. Stress, pain, unsatisfactoriness, suffering, those are probably enough. It's all the stressful, unpleasant, unwanted aspects of the human condition, and not just the human condition, the condition of all biological beings. Nibbana is the word, it's our pronunciation of nirvana, and so to be fully awakened to the truth of the way things are. There's many ways to talk about it. Unshakable peace is one of my favorite. Unshakable peace, unconditional peace. It's a peace not based on any set of particular conditions. It's based on no conditions, no particular conditions. And nibbana itself, one of the translations is the literal translations means cooling. There's a cooling off, cooling of the heat of greed, hatred, and delusion. So once again, to read that phrase, to cross over all dukkha, all suffering, in order to realize unshakable peace. Taking these robes, please, Venerable Sir, out of compassion, grant me the going forth. So this is the whole reason why we're here, really. It's not to become good at keeping rules, or to become a quote-unquote good monk or nun. Just follow the rules, learn the chanting, but it's all to realize unshakable peace. So everything is set up in communities like this to assist us in this, to point towards this. So the next part of the ceremony is it's offering the candidates a set of 5 reflections. Very, very mundane reflections. No, the reflection is not mundane, but the actual topic. So it'll be hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. So this is talking about the human body. It's basically what we see when we look at either ourselves in the mirror, or see somebody else, or what we identify with in terms of our physical being. This is what we tend to identify with. Not the internal, but what is readily seen, and that makes sense on a practical level. Hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. And it'll be given forwards and backwards. They'll repeat after me. And this is to be reflected on. It's not just meant as some empty part of a ceremony, but to actually consider. As my body has, as my head has hair, so do other people. As my body has hair, so do other people. Nails, teeth, skin. They're impermanent. They grow old, they decay, they fall out. I have far less hair now than I did before. Teeth are not what they used to be. So on and so forth. Skin is getting wrinkly and losing its flexibility. But there's a long list, almost endless list of ways that we can reflect on these five subjects. So we'll be offering those, so if you come back up. Okay. Kesa, Loma, Naka, Danta, Tacho, Danta, Naka, Loma, Kesa. Okay. So this next part of the ceremony, I'll be offering the robes back to them, and two of the monks will go and help you change into them. Come a wee bit closer. Lift up your arm. So while they're changing, just maybe explain a little bit about the rest of the ceremony. So when they come back, it's quite repetitive. They'll be once again pretty much going through the same chanting. And then they'll be requesting the 10 precepts. So at the moment, well, for the last year and a half really, they have been living on the 8 precepts. So to refrain from taking the life or harming any living creature, to refrain from taking things that aren't given, so in other words, not stealing, to refrain from any kind of sexual activity and intentional sexual activity, to refrain from false or harmful speech, to refrain from consuming alcohol or drugs that cloud the mind, so recreational drugs. Alex, could you please remove these tables also? They don't need these anymore. Thank you. And then not consuming food from noon until dawn the following day. To refrain from entertainments, beautification, adornment. And then lastly, to refrain from, it's phrased in the chanting in the English translation is to refrain from using a high or luxurious sleeping place. And so I can pretty much attest to the fact that we don't have any high or luxurious sleeping places here. Some of them might be a little bit high because they're built on a platform, but they're not luxurious, that's for sure. So, now in terms of precepts, when they come back, so that was the 8 precepts, now it'll be 10 precepts, but in fact, it's only adding one more precept. So what happens is with the 7th precept around entertainment, beautification, and adornment gets divided into 2. So that becomes 9 precepts, and then the last precept is giving up the use of money. So that's the use of money in any form, whether it's cash, check, credit card, Bitcoin, you name it. Can't use anything that is used as monetary exchange. And that's really significant. So from that point on, they are what we often refer to as an alms mendicant. Our life is fully supported on alms. And we reflect on it using 4 categories. So, clothing, food, shelter, and medicine. So, and then all requisites basically fall within that those 4 umbrellas, so to speak. So not being able to shop, completely dependent. And I know the way I grew up, where I grew up in America, and I think it's probably the same or similar in a great part of the world, is that we were certainly taught to be independent. The whole goal was to become independent. From the earliest age, I can remember that was, everything was leading us towards, our education was leading us towards being independent. My family, independent, to not be dependent. Not dependent on my parents, not dependent on the state, not dependent on anything, but to be independent. And yet, here we have an ancient form, going back, well, this particular form, Buddhist form, 2,600 years, of people intentionally making themselves dependent, vulnerable, putting ourselves into a vulnerable position. Not sure. So not sure that you're going to get food. And if, let's say, the novices and bhikkhus and siladhara were left here on our own, somehow there weren't any lay supporters here, lay team staying in the monastery, and if food didn't arrive from outside, then we can't go into the kitchen. We don't do that. Rifle through the fridge. Living on alms. So it also gives, as novices, they have the right to go on alms round, what we refer to as alms round, going out in the broader community and walking with our bowl, walking into the nearby towns and cities, finding a suitable place to stand. It's not bothersome to anybody, not blocking foot traffic, not standing right in front of somebody's home for too long, not right in front of a shop that might not like it, being sensitive to our surroundings, standing in a very restrained way, and just standing. We're not allowed to ask for food, but we can stand and just peacefully be available for food offerings. So this is a big change. Not having use of money, being able to go out on alms. The change of dress, the clothing from the white robes into brown. About 5 or 6 days ago, I asked them to start wearing a white skirt, just to start to get used to wearing what we refer to as a sabong, so that they could get used to that before today. But up until, well, actually even this morning, Anagarika Kosta, because he needed to clean his sabong, he was back in his trousers. One last go at wearing trousers. It's a big difference. Our dress code. And we always wear our robes. We don't, when we go elsewhere, if we go for a home visit or into town or go traveling, we don't change into regular clothes that we wore when we were lay people. We just wear our robes. That's it. So this is a significant change in way of life. And I can only speak for myself, but I found it a really far more profound change between going from Anagarika to novice than I was from novice to bhikkhu. Of course, there's far more rules when you take up the bhikkhu training, so that's huge. That's very significant. But in terms of my own personal experience, my inner experience of this enhanced change, I found it. It's very big change. Towards the end of the ceremony, there will be the last part is around what's called taking dependence, asking to take dependence on me as their teacher. And so the form of that, it's a mutual agreement, really. In terms of the actual translation, it's really just asking to grant the dependence. It's a very simple ceremony, but the relationship is very nuanced and very deep. I'm agreeing to take them on as pupils. In my role, both as my role as preceptor and the abbot, but also I have the duty of being the mentor for the novices and Anagarikas. So to make sure that they have the requisites, that they have clothing, they have medicine, shelter, food, to the best of my ability. If there's something lacking and there's a way of getting it, then that's my responsibility. If they fall ill, to make sure that they're being looked after. So, for instance, recently that's been happening. That with the very small COVID outbreak that we're experiencing here. Just making sure people, are they getting what they need? Are they getting their spiritual nourishment? To make sure that people are invited to give Dhamma talks, give instructional talks, and receive training in the rules. to get mentoring, to receive the mentoring that they need on a personal level, to make sure that they're emotionally supported, because this is not an easy training. It's very challenging at times. It's meant to be. Just on a personal anecdote, today is my monk's birthday, just by chance. I didn't plan it this way, to have this ceremony on my bhikkhu birthday. We were going to have this on September 21st, this ceremony, but I can't think of a better way to celebrate my bhikkhu birthday than to help to assist in bringing 2 novices into the world. So I think we can sit quietly until the candidates come back. Bang Mai Hang Data Bang Sadhu Sadhu Anumodani Oka Sakarunyang Kataha Sarati Sarane Nasaha Silan Hideta Me Bante. Oh. It's okay. Been appropriate time to offer the bowls, Ajahn. Ahang Bante Sarana Silang Yachami Dutiyampi Ahang Bante Sarana Silang Yachami Tatiyampi Ahang Bante Sarana Silang Yachami. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. 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 Yamahang Vadamitang Vadehi Oka Sa'amabante Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Tisarana Gamanang Nittitang Oka Sa'amabante Panatipata Veramani Panatipata Veramani Adinadana Veramani Adinadana Veramani Brahmacharya Veramani
Abrahmacharya Veramani
Musavada Veramani
Musavada Veramani
Surameraya Majapamadatana Veramani
Sura Meraya Majapamadatana Veramani
Vikala Bhojana Veramani
Vikala Bhojana Veramani
Nacha Gita Vadita Visukadasana Veramani
Nacha Gita Vadita Visukadasana Veramani
Mala Ganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatana Veramani
Mala Ganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatana Veramani
Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani
Ucha Sayana Mahasayana Veramani
Jata Rupa Rajata Patikahana Veramani
Jata Rupa Rajata Patigahana Veramani
Imani Dasasi Kapadani Samadhiyami
Loka Saamabante Imani Dasasika Padani Samadhiyami Imani Dasasika Padani Samadhiyami Imani Dasasika Padani Samadhiyami.
Okay, sit comfortably. Okay. So that, in terms of the Pabbajja, you are now samaneras. That completes the requesting of the 3 refuges and 10 precepts. And as I was reflecting earlier in this ceremony about the reason why you're doing this, and this has been a very well considered move. In our Western tradition, most of our monasteries having this at least 1 year as an Anagarika training, and before that at least 3 months. Yeah, to give a chance to really experience monastic life, and yet not have made that too big of a commitment, because we're not sure. And I think it's actually it's very healthy to not be sure in the beginning, to just live the life for a while, make that, to be sure about becoming an Anagarika, yes, but sure about moving forward, maybe see if it helps us. Does it help each of you as an individual? Does it support your aspirations to develop a peaceful heart and mind in this human life? So this is also a 1-year commitment. Okay, it's not a lifetime vow. So just in case any family members or friends are watching, it's this isn't lifetime. In fact, none of our ceremonies have a lifetime vow involved in it. It's not part of this tradition, this monastic tradition, and it's here to support us. It's a way of living. You could call it a lifestyle, a way of living to support. And while you were changing, I already explained about the taking dependence, so I won't go into any more detail now. So I think without further ado, we can continue. So.
ahang bante nisayang yachami dutiyampi ahang bante nisayang yachami tatiyampi ahang bante nisayang yachami acharyo me bante hohi ayasmato nisaya wachami acharyo me bante hohi ayasmato nisaya wachami acharyo me bante hohi ayasmato nisaya wachami
Opaikang
okasa sampatichami
Patirupang
okasa sampatichami
Pasadikena Sampadehi
okasa sampatichami ajata gedani teho mayang baro aham pitera sabaro ajata gedani teho mayang baro aham pitera sabaro ajata gedani teho mayang baro aham pitera sabaro.
Okay. You've really prepared yourselves extremely well, and it's evident in the way the ceremony has gone. And so now's the time that I give you your bowl and also your new name. So you receive a Pali scriptural name, and as we've spoken, the three of us together privately while we were preparing, these names are not meant to form a new identity. You still have your legal names. Gabriel Hassan, it's the name that your parents gave you, and you have your name. So Kosta, Paniotov. I've never learned how to say it properly. Forgive me. So yeah, and so those are still your legal names, and so this is your monastic name, and these names have meanings, and they have significant meaning. And that doesn't mean that the names you've been given reflect the qualities that you already have or don't have. In this case, it's as I was saying the other day, sometimes that quality will be arising in you, and sometimes it won't. And so it's meant also as a reflection. So I know, all right, what I just did was, yeah, that was skillful, that was, that mind state is not so, And so we use it as, it's a mirror. It's a mirror. And so if we use it skillfully. So there's also a secondary card. So the small card is the card with the name. On the outside I put Samanera Gabriel and Samanera Kosta. And so the small card is the card to open with your name, and the larger card is from Ajahn Tita Dhammo. So okay, may I invite you to open up the card and read out your name? Can't wait. Please.
Dear former Anagarika Gabriel, your Pali name is
Jnana Tejo, which can be translated radiant or shining knowledge. With Metta Ajahn Himsako.
Jnana Tejo.
Jnana Tejo.
Okay, please.
Okay. Dear former Anagarika Kosta, your Pali name is Katanyuto. Is it correct, Ajahn?
Katanyuto.
Katanyuto. Katanyuto, which can be translated as gratefulness or thankfulness. With metta, Ahimsa Buddhiko.
So Katanyu on its own means grateful
Mm-hmm.
or thankful. It's two main translations, but when you put the to on the end, it puts a ness, so gratefulness and thankfulness. So sometimes you'll feel wise and knowledgeable and radiant. Maybe sometimes not. Sometimes you'll feel thankful, and sometimes you'll feel grateful, and sometimes not. So here again, and the whole range in between. So it'll take a while for us to get used to calling you those names, and we'll do our best. And if I could just encourage the community, this is a nice opportunity to encourage all of us to not shorten people's names. Okay, I know it seems to be a bit of a tradition here. So if we can use their full names and also reflect on their meaning. So, okay, so if you sit comfortably, and I'm going to rejoin the Bhikkhu Sangha, and then we will do the chanting, and then you can pay final respects to the assembly.
Sangha tunja virye sume
seats and then we'll do the closing. Congratulations.
Thank you, John.
Relieved?